Journals and Ledgers, Lesson 11. This summative assessment should have been completed by first taking the balances that were given and entering them as opening balances in the ledger accounts required. After that, you would post the totals from the cash receipts journal and then the totals from the cash payments journal. If you were given information that you did not need, in other words, for an account that you did not need to prepare, you simply ignore it and don't use it. The trading stock account, after following this methodology, should look as follows. It's an asset, so it would increase on the debit side and decrease on the credit side. In other words, stock coming in would be debited and stock going out credited. As you mark, make sure that you give yourself ticks in the right places so that you can see how you would have done if this was a real test, which hopefully you did complete under test conditions. On the debit side, on the 2011 August the 1st, you would have balance brought down 15,000, tick. On the 31st, bank, tick, CPJ 8, 45,000, tick. On the credit side, for the stock that was sold, 2011 August the 31st, cost of sales, tick, CRJ 8, 40,000, tick. To total the account, you would use the debit amount of 60,000 as your totals. On the credit side above the total, you would fill in a balance carry down of 20,000. And on the debit side below the totals, September the 1st, balance brought down 20,000, method tick. The bank account is also an asset which would have the receipts on the debit side and the payments on the credit side. Since the balance given to you was a credit balance, in other words, the business was in overdraft, you would show this on the credit side as 2011 August the 1st, balance brought down 4,000, tick. The receipts from the CRJ would go on the debit side, 2011 August the 31st, sundry accounts, tick, CRJ 8, 74,000. This 74,000 had to be calculated and is therefore worth 2 marks. You would do this by simply using the cross-casting concept of realizing that the bank amount should be the total of sales, 60,000, plus the sundry accounts of 14,000. Of course, you would not include the cost of sales in this calculation. On the credit side, you would show the payments on the 31st as sundry accounts, tick, CPJ 8, 86,000, tick. Your totals are 90,000, and on September the 1st you would have a credit balance brought down of 16,000 for a method mark. Sales is an income, and so on the credit side, 2011 August the 1st, balance brought down 300,000, tick. On the 31st, you would show the total sales from the CRJ. Bank, tick, CRJ 8, 60,000, tick, and a subtotal of 360,000 as a method tick with a single line above this amount and nothing underneath it. The cost of sales is an expense which decreases equity and so must be debited. On 2011 August the 1st, you would have your balance brought down of 200,000, tick. On the 31st, you would post the amount of the cost price of all the goods that were sold. In other words, the cost of sales column in the CRJ. The contra account is trading stock, as you took that asset and turned it into an expense. In the trading stock account, you would have seen a credit entry of this amount. The details trading stock is worth 1 tick. Remember your folio CRJ 8, and the amount is 40,000 on the debit side for 1 tick. Your subtotal is a method mark for 240,000. You can then answer the questions. The first question is number 2. What markup percentage on cost is used by this business? You can work this out using any of the amounts of sales and cost of sales. You can either look at the balances in the sales and cost of sales accounts at the beginning of the month, the 300 and 200,000, or you could look at the actual sales and relevant cost of sales for the month of August, in other words 60,000 and 40,000, or you could even use the totals of 360,000 and 240,000. Although this is not shown, this would be perfectly acceptable. The idea is that you need to work out what the gross profit is as a percentage of the cost price. In other words, you take the sales figure, subtract the cost of sales figure, and then divide this by the cost of sales figure to get a percentage. Since a constant markup was used, it doesn't matter which figures you use, you should get an answer of 50%, which is worth 3 marks. Number 3, what gross profit was made by the business for August? In other words, for only this month. If you have a look, you can see that for August, you had sales of 60,000 and you had cost of sales of 40,000. You will use these two amounts over here, 60,000 sales and 40,000 for cost of sales, to work out your gross profit as 20,000. Question 4. Do you think the owner should be concerned about the cash flow of this business? Yes, absolutely. The bank account was in overdraft at the beginning of August, and instead of getting better and receiving more money during the month, it actually got worse and ended with an overdraft that was worse than what it started with. That's worth 3 marks, 1 for saying yes and 2 marks for your explanation. You can now add up the total marks for this exercise and give yourself a mark out of 30. Hopefully you've done really well and are ready to go on to Chapter 5.